In this video, we'll explore what to consider if you've received an inheritance, particularly if you're in your 50s. So look, it's an emotionally tough time and logistically as well, especially if you've gone through that process of managing the estate. But at some point, the funds will be distributed to you and you find yourself asking, what should you do with the money? A lot of people have fears around this, not wanting to do the wrong thing. Having that capacity to do something with that funds and so many options. So we'll look at a case study of John and Kathy. They're in their early 50s. They've got teenage kids, still a bit of debt, $350,000 in a mortgage. Starting to think about retirement in the next 10 years or so. They're still on good income. So the considerations are, maybe we just pay that debt off. They receive $500,000 in inheritance, the debt's $350,000. Maybe we pay that off, put some money in the bank account. We started to explore different options. So you could pay the debt off, yes, definitely, that'll save interest. You could invest it in your personal name, that's an option. John and Kathy wanted to consider gifting money to the kids as well, so looking at cars or paying for university when the time comes. We also discussed contributing to super. So one of the biggest risks when this happens is the funds hit the account and there's a compulsion to act quickly, where in reality the best outcome is generally just to take your time, get some good advice and consider your options. And it may not be just one of them. So what you find is that if you're 50, it's a little bit different too. You're still in peak earnings years, you might still have kids at home, potentially still have some debt, and you are starting to think, well, what do we want from retirement? When could that be, and what does our lifestyle look like? So for John and Kathy, we looked at, yes, let's pay down some of the debt. That was a good strategy for them. We said, let's help the kids, but let's see what is financially viable. They wanted to retire at 60. They wanted to spend $100,000 per year in retirement. They had super and other assets to support that. And we looked at, well, if you do start gifting funds to the kids, what does that mean? Could it result in your lifestyle income of $100,000 is that you can only afford 90, or might you run out of money longer term? Or do you have to defer retirement? So it's important to look at some numbers around, hey, if we do this, we give this money, what does it mean for us? So we did that to provide some clarity for them. One of the biggest considerations is super, right? It's a tax-friendly environment. The maximum tax inside of super is 15%. And if you hit 60 and you meet a condition of release, a tax-free pension, there's zero tax within that environment. So a really compelling case to look at that. So what we did is John actually had some carry-forward provisions, $50,000 worth. He hadn't been maximising his concessional contributions. So we put the $50,000 in. He was on a marginal tax rate of 39%. So he saved $19,500 in personal income tax. Of course, there's a contribution tax on the way in, so his net tax savings was still about $12,000. So it really highlights the importance of take your time, get some advice, look at the options, and if there are options such as super contributions, consider that. What I find too, when talking about strategies like this, or if it's through social media or a Facebook post, is yes, it's a great strategy. Yes, it will save tax. But what's next? And what's next is where does that money go? So people will often say, yes, put money into super, save tax, or put it in as a personal contribution. Wonderful, great. But it's really critical to understand where that money is invested. Is it in line with what you're comfortable with in terms of volatility and growth assets versus defensive? Does it line up with your future goals? If you've got shorter term goals from the asset, you'll need defensive assets to support that. So we consider, time frame. So it is 10 years to retirement and then beyond. So it's 40 years ideally past that for John and Kathy. So really important to look at the whole range of opportunities that you have at 50. So whilst it is a tough time, it is a time in which you do have some opportunities to consider. Yes, there's questions around what you do specifically, but it's really around, well, you've got this wealth that's come in, and how can you use that to improve your overall financial position for you and your family, and that long-term lifestyle that you're targeting. So look, if you'd like to know more, or if you've received an inheritance or other lump sum and you'd like to chat further about ways in which financial advice can benefit you, please reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you.